Guys, I want to thank you for investing in the Shareholders podcast. Another episode here. We out here, man. And so doing things a little different. You guys, you're getting a prototype for this show because I might be branching this off to something else. It depends on the response. But I've had some people holler at me. We've done our Marvel perspective. We've done the Spider-Man controversy where a lot of you all let me down with your terrible taste in Spider-Man that I've heard y'all talk about. So today we're trying to stay current, stay hot with it. We're going to discuss, it just came out, it's been out not even a week yet, Space Jam 2, I'm sorry, it's not Space Jam 2, it's Space Jam, A New Legacy, starring LeBron James, and a host of others. So I have with me an esteemed panel, of course, again, the expert in all things, the wise one, as though he's still young, Mr. Holy Shinobi himself. X is in the building. Sir, how are you this evening?
Doing good, sir. I'm doing good.
Thank you. We appreciate the hood. It makes you more mysterious. Also, we have struggling with his own child. This is great podcasting here. We have one of the triumphant from Movie Club is back again, Mr. Earl Thompson and son.
Hey man, we out here, man. My wife, man, she out here at the day spa, man. She's like, we gotta take care of this baby.
Right. So we doing that. And then one of our greatest gets, people. This is actually another blood relative who rarely speaks to anyone my age at all. I can't believe it. She's actually, it took me so much to get her on here, so many promises, bribes, and all of that. But she is young, she is tapped into this, and we don't want this to just be nerds and guys and guy nerds. We have to have a female voice in the room for some balance. So, Miss Divinity Webb, wow. How's it going? I don't even know. Do people call you anything in the streets? I don't even know your other names, but
they just call me Vin.
They call her Vin. Okay, so let's cut right to the chase, y'all. First of all, I know why they made. I know some people are like, why would you make a Space Jam? We already got a Space Jam, but it's been over 20 years. I think 25 years. The next generation, they don't care about old stuff. That's why they recycle songs, they recycle movies and all that. So I know why they did it. Give me your first impressions. Did you like it, yes or no? I'm just asking you, did you like the movie X?
It is a no for me.
No for X. Okay. Earl, did you like the movie?
Terrible.
Okay, all right. Then did you like the movie?
Not really, no.
Okay, all right. So I myself did not, I wasn't really crazy about it. You know, it's not in my top 100. Okay. Now let's ask this question here. Have you watched the first Space Jam? Because I had not seen the first Space Jam, but watching this one made me go back, and I had never seen it before. So have you? Okay, so let me start. Earl, you've seen it, right? You've seen the first Space Jam.
Man, that's one of the seminal moments of my life is when Child Jordan is running with the ball, and then it goes to what's the song?
I believe I can.
No, not I believe I can fly. What's up in your face, shaking, baking, take the moon.
Yeah.
Dude. What's the name of the song? Quad City DJs,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It goes to the Quad City DJ song. Listen, I was at the hospital getting one of my vaccination shots, and they was playing Space Jam on the TV. I stopped everything I could do just so I could hear that theme song.
Yeah, okay. Now, okay, I'm glad you said that. Now let me ask, because you're a little older, so you remember the Space Jam. So X, did you ever watch Space Jam?
I did. A long time ago, but I definitely watched it.
Did it change your life like it did Earl?
I can't say it had the same effect.
I didn't think it did. Vin, did you ever watch the first Space Jam?
I did. I watched it when I was real young.
Did it change your life like Earl?
No.
No. Okay, now, that's because I feel like y'all generation don't have the attachment to Michael Jordan that people in my generation did, Earl's generation did. I feel like, so go ahead, Earl.
They don't know good cinema.
Okay.
Being from Detroit, I was raised to hate Michael Jordan. I still don't like Michael Jordan.
Right.
But it's not the Jordan factor.
Oh, so well, what do you think it is?
It's just like I think it summed up the 90s. I mean, you got Jordan, greatest athlete of all time. Controversy, I know, blah blah blah, but R. Kelly at the height of his powers. And then you got what it was. You
Bill
got
Murray.
Seal. You got Seal fly like an eagle playing when he getting his hoop skills back. You got the Looney Tunes. My age grew up on Looney Tunes. It's a perfect storm.
Okay, now you already leading to my next thing. For Vin and X, do y'all have a close attachment to the Looney Tunes? Do y'all remember Looney Tunes? Did you watch Looney Tunes growing up?
I did. I grew up with. There were multiple iterations of Looney Tunes since yes. So yes, I'm well familiar with the crew. Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's fair. Now I wanted to give some quick statistics as well, because Earl he's not really overstating this, because Space Jam, the original Space Jam, it comes out in 1996. It grosses $90 million in America, $140 million internationally, for a $230 million gross, which is crazy for that movie, especially in '96. So Jordan was a global star. It had a huge effect. I just, I never really I thought it was just kind of more for kids. Even when it came out, I was in high school or just out of high school. So I just thought it was more aimed toward the kids, but a lot of people rock with it. Now, when I watched the second movie, when I watched LeBron's version, it seemed so just silly and over the top. But when I watched the first Space Jam, I was like, okay, that is kind of silly and over top. They really just kind of, to me, based it off the same kind of components, where you had just zany stuff going on, crazy things like that. And so they didn't really delineate that far from it. So let me now ask this question. X, do you feel like it will have as much success, or it is having as much success as Michael Jordan's version did back in the day?
It's a good question. I think, because it released, so it's currently releasing on HBO Max right now with the same day release. We're in the middle of a pandemic for the folks watching this in 2075. So there are a lot of movies have been released through WB, in theaters, but also doing a split 45-day window of having them on the platform. So I have an HBO Max account, so I watched it, didn't pay any additional cost. So the analytics for those type of movies, they gross not differently, but the numbers are less. They have to be released by WB. They have to release those numbers willingly. Like Disney had just had Black Widow come out. They have the right to retain those numbers until they want to release them. As of right now, it's the number one movie in America because of the release schedule, and there aren't a lot of movies this summer that have been released. I'm sure it will do better numbers than the previous version, but that's just kind of the economy of movies. I don't think that's a technical like comparison to the quality of the film. Well, now that we're cracking $1 billion with these, Marvel cinematic money making machines, yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's so Earl. Now, right now, it's got because it is hard to tell because there's box office and there's HBO and there's a connection with that. Right now, Space Jam Legacy has, according to Box Office Mojo, and I just want to say whoever redid the Box Office Mojo site is terrible. I don't know why they changed it up, but it's 31 million domestic right now, 22 million for a total of 53 billion. Now we know because inflation makes everything look bigger and all that. Earl, you are our resident movie buff. What do you think after let's give it a good 8 weeks. 8 weeks from now, what are we gonna be looking at box office wise?
I probably 150 worldwide.
Worldwide, right? All together
150. I don't think I think like X said with the HBO Max factor. I mean, you could just look at Black Widow. Black Widow dropped big time.
Yes, it did.
And granted, they're behind a paywall for Disney Plus, but it's been pirated. So between people watching it for only $14 that already have HBO Max and then piracy, I don't think it's going to make a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think because these studios are trying to figure out so many ways to do this, how we can make money, how can we stream it, all that. Now, then I want to ask this. For the people your age and gender, are they really reaching you? Now you watched it. Now what you watched it, I asked you to watch it and all that. I don't know if you're going to watch it on your own volition, but are your friends talking about this?
Not at all. It is not coming up in any conversation, and I think it's just because like it's a movie about basketball mostly. And not a lot of females are getting hype over basketball. I mean, they're hype over the cast. It is a good cast, but I think other than that, it's not really towards us personally.
Even though they got female basketball players in this, which they did not have in the first movie.
Yes. I think that's also a very important part because, with the whole feminist movement and everybody supporting the WNBA, I think that was a very important part to incorporate, but I don't think it's going to really change my generation the way it did Earl's.
Interesting.
I got a theory on that. I think this movie failed to attract a larger female audience while also trying to keeping the voice of Lola Bunny a mystery, which if you don't know is played by light-skinned superstar America's sweetheart Zendaya.
That was I didn't know that.
Yes, you're right. You didn't see that, and that's the weird part. So they try to keep it a secret because if you don't know, Lola Bunny's debut as a character was in the first Space Jam movie.
Space Jam, right.
So it's kind of like this big legacy character to introduce, to reintroduce, and it's now being played by Zendaya. They kept that a secret so long. There was a time to build up the hype around Zendaya, who's big with the kids nowadays, to release. They waited really long because they wanted to keep it a surprise for what.
I have one caveat to that, because after I watch a film, I like to go on IMDb and look at the trivia. Mm-hmm. And Lola Bunny was actually voiced by the original voice actress, and then they changed it to Zendaya in post-production.
Interesting.
And she didn't, and according to what I read, they gave her no explanation. I mean, money is the explanation, but they were just like, hey, we're switching the voice to Zendaya. So there's that.
I bet you it's kind of what X was talking about. They probably figured we're not probably going to reach a big demographic with females. We want to, so let's quickly, anytime something that fast happens, it's usually something like that. Okay, got a little surprise for you guys. The villain is back. He had very controversial and terrible takes I waited to bring him in. He is back.
No, I'm gone.
What?
Get him out of here.
gone.
Get him out.
He just logged in the cloak of darkness.
I'm about to say he's looking like Anakin Skywalker. I don't know why he's already in darkness.
He's emanating bad takes.
He is embracing his role. People, Nate is here. Give us your ridiculous taste now. Let's just get you in and let's hear it. What did you think?
Cinematic masterpiece.
No, actually, I did not care for this movie. I did not.
Gasp! Really?
I know. I actually, okay, I went in with not that very high expectations, knowing that it was going to be a kids movie. So I wasn't expecting like an Oscar performance or anything, but I was really disappointed by this film, generally speaking. It didn't live up to what the expectations were. And to me, it just didn't feel like a Space Jam movie. So I did not like it. No, I did not.
Wow, I'm actually surprised. I thought you would have given it 4 stars.
Oh.
But, okay, so now here's the thing. Because of Warner Brothers, a lot of cameos are in this movie. You know, I remember it probably took me a quick minute to realize, okay, wait, that's like the guy from The Matrix that's in the crowd, and they got all these callbacks, which I don't know why movies feel they got to do all of that. Like, you know, it kind of reminded me of the Coming to America remake when they just threw all these extra cameos in there. We didn't need all of that. They could have just made it a straight movie. But let's try to be fair about it. Who was your favorite character in the movie? I know I have one. Who's your favorite character? Vin, let's start with you, Vinny. Your favorite character?
I have to go with Bugs Bunny. I love Bugs Bunny and everything he does. I feel like he was the only thing that really was funny about the movie. I feel like everything else kind of drew out, but I truly did enjoy Bugs Bunny.
Okay, Earl, your favorite character in the Space Jam movie?
Bugs Bunny. And while watching it, I realized, I was like, Bugs Bunny is like the Warner Brothers version of Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah,
like this you know, character who stands for right and justice and sacrifices himself. And like, I legit thought Bugs was dead. I stood up off. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry.
So you thought he was gone, huh? Okay.
But Bugs definitely.
Okay. X, who you got?
I'm gonna have to say Lola Bunny. I think Zendaya's performance was like really good and like the most sensible character, I think, like in the movie. My personal, like the character that's like, okay, you're an actual person and like not a cartoon. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to say Lola Bunny personally.
Okay, Nate.
I'm gonna have to say Porky Pig. Surprisingly, every time he opened his mouth, I mean, I just cracked up laughing. And there's one particular scene in the movie where he just made me laugh the whole time. I really like that. So
this is why you're here. This is why you're here.
Porky Pig.
Porky Pig. That's now I'm gonna actually have a swerve like Nate as well. My favorite character was Daffy Duck. Like, Daffy is such great comic relief. He gets the best lines to me. Like, even in the first one, like I said, so I watched the second one. Then I kind of skimmed through the first one because I was just like, this is the same. Daffy to me just has, I've always liked Daffy. Great comic relief. And here's my issue though. I'm old enough. And y'all probably, I don't even know if Earl is this old. I remember, like, see, the problem with Bugs is it's not the same guy. Like, the original Bugs Bunny, the old Bugs Bunny, it kept throwing me off. Like, this guy doing Bugs now is close, but he's not the original. So every time Bugs was talking, it was just like, yo, this is not. I mean, and some of the other characters, like the Foghorn Leghorn guy was different, all that. I haven't seen Looney Tunes in so long. My mind was just triggered to. So every time Bugs was talking, it was throwing me off. So now let's try. No, we got to be fair about it. Was there something that you don't have to be a character? Was there something you didn't like about this movie specifically that really got on his nerves.
I'm here to complain.
Absolutely.
I'm here to complain. Okay.
All
okay.
Right,
okay. What bothered me the most about this movie and really took me out of it. I'll tell you the moment I mentally clocked out of this movie is when I saw Rick and Morty appear in a why is Rick and Morty here?
Yep.
As soon as I saw Rick and Morty, I knew it. I didn't even know Rick and Morty was owned by WB. And that's is initially the problem I have with this. It's the fact that this is like, I've never seen a franchise or a studio advertise itself so hard. Like Disney did it once when they did Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph's Breaks the Internet, because they had the Disney princesses, they had all these cameos and Easter eggs. It was like a big, meta Disney joke. This just took that to like a 13, and it's a lot. It's too much. It's fun on paper, okay? Like the Mad Max joke was cool. Like that, the only one that made sense to me was like the Roadrunner would be in the Mad Max universe, okay? And I guess the Themyscira one was cool too with Lola Bunny and Wonder Woman, but everything before and after that, it was too much. It's like there was no focus. What was the point of this? You need to get the gang back together.
I agree.
Too much.
No focus at all. Earl, did you have something you hated the most?
I don't know who this movie is for. Because you saw on Twitter, people were like, well, it's not for adults, it's for children. How? What child know, like the whole recruiting the team scene? What child knows about the Matrix?
Right.
What child, if your child has seen Mad Max Fury Road,
Game of Thrones.
I don't know.
Mad Max.
I legitimately don't, like. Is it for the parents for 25 years later? If so, then it should have been a legit sequel. I don't know.
Earl, that's a great point, because already Vinny has said she called it a basketball movie. Nate called it a kid movie. Me and you don't really know what it's kid. Like they're all over the place. And it's not really, it's gonna make its money, but it's not, nobody really knows who's this for. That's a great point. Vinny, what did you not like the most?
I'd have to agree with Exodus. I think at some point it becomes too many cameos. And personally, as a teen, I didn't watch most of the movies that they were talking about. There was a lot of stuff they're talking about. It went right over my head. I had no clue what they were talking about. And I think it just became too much. And I think they also missed the point with when you have a lot of good actors and actresses, sometimes that doesn't make it a good movie just because you have good people playing roles.
Agreed. Nate?
I didn't like the fact that basketball seemed to be the subplot of a Space Jam movie. When the original Space Jam came out, we understood kind of what the plot was. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still loony, but I mean, a group of tiny aliens was trying to enslave the Looney Tunes, and because they were tiny, the Looney Tunes said, well, our advantage is challenging you to a basketball game. Well, the aliens went out, stole their basketball powers, whatever, and then they realized that they needed to get the best basketball player in the world to defeat them. That made sense for the context of the film. This movie, basketball didn't necessarily have to be included in this film. There was really no reason why they had to have a basketball tournament. Second off, it just, Algae Rhythm, the main guy behind everything, for his purpose to be fulfilled, didn't have to come through basketball. There's a certain point right before the tournament where he got what I can't go too much into the movie, but he got what his purpose was if you really look into the movie. And so it just seemed like basketball, and specifically the Looney Tunes, being on the team wasn't necessary. Speaking of the cameos and whatnot, it just seemed like they could have had other characters, but because it was a Space Jam movie, they forced us to watch Looney Tunes play with them. And so it just seemed like it was unnecessary for the actual movie. So I didn't like that.
Valid point.
Hey, that name is top 10 worst villain names of all time.
Agreed.
Okay, we about to hold that. We about to get to that in a second. Real quick, my biggest pet peeve was the fact that The movie is called Space Jam, and they're not even in space. Am I
Yes.
What?
Yes.
There is
cyberspace.
It's Cyber Jam or something.
Cyberspace.
I was like, why are we not? Because again, I didn't even in the first, I didn't really understand what. I was like, okay, so where are they gonna go out? I'm like, wait, are we just in a computer program?
They're all AI. They're not even aliens.
It didn't really make any sense.
That makes no sense.
They're AI.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to we're gonna start to wrap it up, but I want to just say this. I greatly respect the work of Don Cheadle. I am a big fan of a lot of his things. I think he's a great actor. Mm-hmm. Keep getting them checks, Don. You know, I'm sure they gave you a handsome reward for this performance. I don't know why Don Cheadle did this. Maybe his kids or his, or something like that. But I mean, and the thing is, he wasn't like just awful. I mean, he was working with what he had to work with.
Right.
Which was not a lot. So I love to talk villains in these movies. So what did you feel about the villain in the movie? We're going to start with Nate. What did you feel about Algae Rhythm? And Earl already said really one of the most terrible villain names, so we can already establish that. But what did you feel about Don Cheadle as Algae Rhythm?
Quite honestly, like you said, he was working with what he had, but seeing such a great actor come down to this level kind of disappointed me. I didn't think he was intimidating enough. I didn't feel like his motivation for what he was doing was very intimidating. It didn't register to me as a good villain. And that's kind of all I got to say about that.
Yeah, very okay. Earl?
King Kong don't have nothing on me. He legitimately said that.
I forgot about that.
I'm done. Like, Don Cheadle is out for me, man. Unless it comes out that like somebody at Warner Brothers kidnapped his daughter, and I'm done.
Hey, he's a company guy, man. He had to just play ball. They want what we say, Earl. One for them, one for me. Okay, Vinny.
He didn't really feel like a villain. It wasn't working. It wasn't working as him as a villain. He wasn't scary. He wasn't intimidating. It was just Don Cheadle. Like, it's just him. It's like I've never seen him play a villain personally. So him trying to be a villain, and I feel like he didn't really have a good reason for trying to be a villain either. He just kind of was thrown in there.
Yeah, I would just love to hear the story of how he got into this. Okay, so X, what did you feel about it?
I'm gonna take something out of Nate's playbook and say that it was very much just Don Cheadle, but I think the problem is like he was a villain, but like he was making some decent points, like LeBron James being a terrible father in this movie, and everything that happened was 100% LeBron James' fault. And Algae Rhythm definitely gave his son the validation he needed. And then, yeah, I mean, I couldn't be too mad at the points that Algae Rhythm was making, because LeBron James was, no, you have to play basketball. And then they get launched into a human-sized 2K21 game, and he's upset about it. And it's like, all right, I mean, this is what we got to work with, I guess. I mean, LeBron James just wasn't much of a hero in this movie either, to be honest. So both lacking in my opinion.
All right, and that leads us to our last point, and you already just talked about it. LeBron Raymond James Sr. I want to say this. Okay, real quick. I'm sorry. Let me give my Don Cheadle. I agree with her, but again, he worked with what he could, but it just didn't do anything. I'm kind of like Vinny. He wasn't really scary to me or anything. I mean, I don't know if what he was supposed to be. He wasn't really menacing, anything like that. It was nothing. So on to LeBron James, our final point for the evening. I have seen LeBron James in other movies that I actually thought he was actually pretty good in as a actually, he wasn't playing LeBron James. He was playing. Well, no, he was in one movie I've seen him in. It was a movie with what was it movie? Trainwreck, I think.
It was
Trainwreck. And I thought he was really good, actually. You know, natural, all that. He's very good at commercials. I felt though, and again, partly just the dialogue, which he didn't have much to work with either. Just very plastic, did nothing for me. So let's really quick. What did your thoughts on LeBron? We're gonna go back in reverse order. X, your thoughts on LeBron?
Yeah, not a fan of his performance here. I think I was telling my dad this. My dad's a LeBron hater. I think he needs more movies to get more comfortable with acting. I think he has the potential, but here it felt very much like he was like the guest celebrity person who hadn't acted, and everything just like, what? No way. We gotta go to the Game of Thrones world? Harry Potter land. Like it just felt he's just like he was trying to be the straight man in the whole comedy dynamic. It still was falling flat. I heard a reviewer say that his strongest acting point was when he was in the Toon World meeting Bugs Bunny, and that's a problem because he's a cartoon at that point.
That's true.
So yeah, it wasn't pretty wooden, but I think if he gets more books, more movies, I think he'll get better eventually. I'll put a spin on that positively. Yeah.
Ben?
I would say I wasn't a big fan of LeBron James in this movie. It didn't feel like he was trying to act well. Like it felt kind of forced. I can say that. The whole movie felt forced with him in it. He didn't feel like a main character, kind of like what X just said. He felt like a side character in a movie that was supposed to be mainly about him. So yeah.
That's a good point too. That's a good point. Earl?
I mean, come on, man. I thought he was bad. I mean, like the first 5 minutes, his wife was like, "Oh, come on in, guys. We're having spaghetti and meatballs," and he's like, "Oh yeah, my favorite." I mean, come on, man.
Earl, listen, I didn't think it was great. I thought the first 10 minutes he was horrible. I was like, "Oh,"
and that was my second time trying to watch it. I turned it off right after that scene. Yeah. And then he told me about the podcast. I watched it again.
Right. Like I totally agree. It was like he got a little bit better as it went on. But that first, I was like, bro, this is
it's horrendous,
terrible.
It was rough.
That's a good point. Okay, Nate.
Okay, so I've had some friends who said that he did a great job in this movie.
Oh man.
I'm gonna be honest. I really tried to find some really great points about this movie, but it just with LeBron James acting, it was really flat to me. And I thought it was interesting how they satirically brought it up in the movie, within the movie. They talked about how athletes are not good at acting and stuff. And like you said before, LeBron James has acted in other things. And in those performances, they were okay. But it seems like this film, he only did it kind of just to live out his dream. I mean, now I hear that he only had about 58 days of filming, and I don't know if that's considered a lot, but for what he put on, it seems like he only had a couple months, and he just kind of just did it. It seems like he filmed it one time. They just took what they had and ran with it. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, one take, one hit a quitter. So.
Yep.
I mean, it'll do what it's gonna do. They're gonna sell merchandise. They're gonna sell the toys.
The shoes.
I'm sure young kids might be rocking with it and all that. So,
Can I say one good thing about it though?
Yeah.
I did really like the animation and the colors and everything, the color scheme. That really kept me watching the movie. Because especially when they, transformed and whatnot, I was like, wow, that's some really good animation and that's some really good colors that they got going on there.
Yeah, I thought that the evil characters, the basketball characters, they were kind of weird. Like one was a snake, one was a hawk. I was like,
yeah.
I mean, I like the original Space Jam where they just were monsters. Like,
yeah,
that was better to me. But it was kind of a weird, Anthony Davis thing. I didn't, but it was well put together. They got
special effects were very good.
Yeah, they're really good. I like that.
Very good. Very. The rendering was very good. A lot on the furrier characters. Very complicated to do. Just like I've dabbled with in school working with 3D animation software. It's a beast. So on the visual end, I would give this is a 10 out of 10. It had a lot of good work for that. Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing on that side of it. But yeah, I mean, again, it's been a long enough time. Everything comes around. So some people are like, why would you make it? I know why they made it. We get it. Mm-hmm. Not really a great movie to recommend, but it's hot. We had to do it. We wanted to stay current. So I'm going to thank my esteemed panel today. X, of course, Holy Shinobi, Early Thompson, and Son, and Dog for a little bit as well. Vin, who has threatened me once with violence. We'll get into that story later on. Don't unmute yourself. You can stay muted. And of course, the rising young villain of this podcast, Nate, came in. Not too controversial this time, so okay, good. I feel like it's
low trying to lure us in.
No, I tried to be
low hanging fruit. Like I would have been shocked, but so guys, let me know because I'm trying to decide if I want to really. I don't really need to be hosting any more shows. I do enough. We're trying to maybe find a mix. Maybe y'all could. If you have a spinoff, maybe y'all can do it and just send me the footage. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy talking about, pop culture things and all that, but we'll see. But yes, thank you guys for coming on. To check us out, Shareholders Podcast, Mighty Sharp Network. Please subscribe, give us all the good stuff. We appreciate it, guys. Be blessed. Stay sharp.